Welcome back to Spiritual Wisdom. We've traveled across centuries of Islamic thought, from the pioneering metaphysics of Al-Farabi to the mystical realism of Mulla Sadra, through the Ottoman and Mughal syntheses. Now we enter the modern era, a time of immense change, challenge, and rediscovery. The question is, what happened to Islamic philosophy in the age of colonialism, modernization, and globalization? Did it fade away, or did it find new voices and avenues? Well, the story is far from over. In fact, it's still unfolding. In this video, we'll explore how Islamic philosophy navigated the pressures of modernity, responded to Western thought, and re-emerged as a vital voice in global intellectual conversations. Let's begin in the 19th century, an era marked by European colonial expansion into much of the Muslim world. This period posed existential questions for Muslim societies. Why? One of the first major responses came from Jamal al-Dinal-Afghani, 1838 to 1897. A political activist and thinker, al-Afghani argued that reason and science were not foreign to Islam. In fact, he claimed the Islamic Golden Age showed how faith and intellect once thrived together. He criticized both blind traditionalism and uncritical adoption of Western ideas. For al-Afghani, the way forward was a philosophical renewal, grounded in Islamic principles but open to rational inquiry. His student Muhammad Abduh, 1849 to 1905, took this further. As Grand Mufti of Egypt, Abduh advocated for educational reform and a reinterpretation of Islamic theology using reason. He believed that Islam, properly understood, was compatible with science, democracy, and modern ethics. While not a philosopher in the classical mold, Abduh's work reflected a rationalist spirit reminiscent of Ibn Rushd or al-Ghazali. Moving into the 20th century, we meet one of the most influential modern Islamic philosophers, Muhammad Iqbal, 1877 to 1938. A poet, politician, and philosopher from British India, Iqbal sought to revive the creative vitality of Islamic thought. Deeply influenced by both Islamic tradition and Western philosophers like Nietzsche and Bergson, Iqbal argued that the human self, Khudi, was not a passive recipient of divine will, but an active, evolving force. In his seminal work, The Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam, Iqbal called for a dynamic interpretation of Islamic theology, one that embraced change, creativity, and engagement with modern science and philosophy. He admired thinkers like Mulla Sadra for combining mysticism and reason, and he envisioned a future where Muslims would once again contribute to global intellectual life. Let's also not forget Ali Shariati, 1933 to 1977, an Iranian sociologist and revolutionary intellectual. Shariati combined Islamic teachings with existentialist and Marxist ideas, calling for a socially engaged faith that challenged both imperialism and clerical conservatism. He believed philosophy must inspire action, not just contemplation, a view that echoed the activism of al-Afghani, but with a more revolutionary edge. During the same period, Fazlur Rahman, 1919 to 1988, a Pakistani philosopher and reformist, emphasized the ethical and rational dimensions of the Quran. He called for a contextual reading of Islamic scripture, one that accounted for historical change. Rahman championed ijtihad, independent reasoning, as a way to revive Islamic ethics in a modern world. Meanwhile, academic circles in the West began taking Islamic philosophy more seriously. Conferences, journals, and university courses began integrating Islamic philosophical contributions into broader discussions of global philosophy. Today, a new generation of Muslim philosophers and thinkers are continuing the dialogue. Names like Seyyed Hossein Nasr, Tariq Ramadan, Layla Ahmed, and Wael Halak engage with questions of tradition, modernity, gender, ethics, and ecology. They're not just preserving the past, they're interpreting it for today's world. Contemporary Islamic philosophy grapples with urgent global issues: environmental ethics, artificial intelligence, social justice, religious pluralism. And just like their predecessors, today's thinkers often blur the lines between philosophy, theology, mysticism, and activism. They're asking, how can we live wisely in a world of uncertainty? How do we reconcile ancient truths with modern complexities? So what? First, that Islamic philosophy is not a relic of the past. It's a living tradition that evolves with time. From colonial struggles to global dialogues, it has adapted, resisted, and reimagined itself. Second, that modern Islamic thought is not monolithic. It's diverse, dynamic, and often marked by internal debates about reason and revelation, tradition and change, East and West. And third, that philosophy today is a global endeavor. Islamic thinkers, past and present, are part of that conversation, not on the margins, but at the center. In our next video, we'll reflect on what this entire journey means. What does Islamic philosophy teach us, not just as Muslims or historians, but as human beings seeking wisdom? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And as always, stay curious and stay wise. Thank you for watching.